But yesterday, President Trump turned a press conference on the USMCA trade deal into a 90-minute rant, fielding questions on several topics, including the Kavanaugh investigation. Lawrence Martin, a public affairs columnist at the Globe and Mail, was at the presser. He joins me now from Washington to discuss. Hi, Lawrence.
Hi, Marcia. How are you?
These news conferences are becoming must-watch television. What was the mood like in the Rose Garden?
Well, you know, some thought it was a tour de force. Others thought it was a tour de farce. It was a wild and rambling presidential show. You know, fountain of falsehoods and hyperbole and repetition and insults and just striking declarations. The White House seems to think that this works. They road tested it. You know, they like to have the president sitting at the barroom stool talking to the patrons. And this is the way this press conference came on.
It seems that the president really enjoys this format. He's relishing the interaction with reporters. He's wanting to take on anybody that doesn't really fit with what he wants to talk about. I want to show one exchange with a reporter from ABC News, Cecilia Vega, that a lot of people are talking about, and then we'll get your thoughts on it.
She's shocked that I picked her.
No.
She's like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
In a tweet this weekend, Mr. President, you said that it's incorrect to say you're limiting the scope of the FBI investigation.
What does that have to do with trade? I don't mind answering the question, but, you know, I'd like to do the trade
It has
questions,
to do with the other
right?
headline in the news, which is the Kavanaugh
I know,
nomination.
but how about talking about trade, and then we'll get to that. We'll do that later.
Do you think the
Anybody have a trade?
Do you
Go
think
ahead,
your trade
please.
deal will pass through Congress, sir?
I think so, but, you know, if it doesn't, we have lots of other alternatives. But I do think so.
Lawrence, do you get the feeling that President Trump treats female reporters in a different way than he does male reporters?
I'm starting to think that way, Marcia. The more I've watched him, the more I've been at these things, he seems to have a certain animosity toward them. You're not thinking, you never do. That is a awful insult. I mean, a hush went through the assembled media there. She handled it really well, sort of said, excuse me, that type of tone of voice. But he was really hostile toward the media yesterday, as he normally is. I mean, he called the media loco at one point, L-O-C-O. I haven't heard that term in a long time. I don't know where he pulled that one out. But it's a combative atmosphere. He feels that, you know, this strikes with his right wing base if he hits out at the media, who are always criticizing.
He also has been joking about his Vice President, Mike Pence. Let's play that sound.
There are bad reports on everybody in here. Most of the people sitting down there are bad, except for Mike Pence, by the way. And if we find one on him, then I think that'll be the greatest shock of all time.
It's funny, Lawrence, we don't hear a whole lot about Vice President Mike Pence. He somehow manages to stay on the sidelines of all this.
Yeah, he's playing it smart that way because he's next in line to be president, of course. And if there is an impeachment, he wants to be well placed. He wants to stay out of Trump's bad books so that he'll be his running mate next time around. But Trump's always sort of mocking him for being sort of overly religious, this holy roller type of guy who won't go to a restaurant and be seated with anybody else if his wife isn't there. And Pence is in fact that way. But President Trump has great fun with it.
Okay. On to slightly more serious matters. He talked about NAFTA yesterday, or I guess it's USMCA now. Do you think that this is a huge win for him? Is this a big feather in his cap as we head into the midterm elections?
Well, the reception here so far that I've seen is relatively positive. And anything that Trump does that gets a relatively positive reviews from the media is a big plus for him. I think he was careful to point out yesterday that Mexico and Canada also got a good deal. I don't think this deal is being seen as him taking advantage of the other two countries, and I don't think it is. I think Canada and Mexico did quite well. I think that Trump, in the end, really wanted this deal. He wanted Canada on, and he was prepared to relent on a couple of key things like Chapter 19 just to get us in there at the last moment.
And he said that he liked Justin Trudeau. Are we on our way now to mending some fences, given all the nasty things that President Trump has said about Prime Minister Trudeau in Canada?
Yeah, well, he did say, Marcia, that there's been a lot of high tension between the two of them. High tension. And, they were at loggerheads. But in signing on to the agreement, there's this kiss and makeup type of atmosphere for now. I mean, that doesn't mean that in the future, Mr. Trump is going to turn around and be Mr. Nice Guy toward Canada. He is still a protectionist. He's going to be still tough on trade, and he's still going to be tough on Trudeau if he feels Trudeau is getting in his way.
All right. Lawrence Martin, he's a public affairs columnist at the Globe and Mail. Lawrence, always great to have you with us.
My pleasure, Marcia. Thank you.